Clickbait is a scourge on the internet and the face of our society. It wastes time, misleads people, and... Okay, although YouTube tells me to avoid creating clickbait, it seems like a little bit of clickbait in the thumbnail and title can go a long way. Clickbait is less of a category and more like a spectrum. It's a promise of what's in a video, which can be more or less near the truth. But why is clickbait so addictive? In this case, the tricks of the trade go back a long way. Long before the internet, artists and advertisers were creating ticketbait for movie theaters. In this video, we'll look at movie posters from 3 different countries to explore the psychology behind clickbait.
Paths seldom trod.
Take a look at this movie poster. The Screaming Skull premiered in 1958 to mixed reviews. The scene in the poster with a giant skeleton covered in blood grabbing a woman never happens in the movie. There are some skulls, some screams, but no giant skeletons. Now ask yourself, could this film be decent without that scene? Would you be disappointed if you saw the poster and then watched it? If the emotions in the scene happened in the movie, there was real terror and threat, perhaps you wouldn't feel you'd been too misled. That's because there's a degree of creative license we've learned to give to movie advertisements. There's a famous Mr. Beast video which seems to suggest Jimmy crashed a jet at sea. In the video, the plane crashes on land, but most people didn't get upset. It's a plane crash after all. But there is something else going on with the Screaming Skull that's extremely clickbaity. They promise to bury you for free if you die of fright. As far as I know, no one claimed that offer. But the director liked this gimmick so much, he started the movie with it too. Maybe it sets the right mood, but it also does something else. It creates a curiosity gap, the difference between what we're told and what we're not told. Okay, they'll pay for my coffin, apparently, but what's in the movie that's so scary I might die? The curiosity gap is one of the most common features of clickbait. But how many times have you been disappointed when pursuing the curiosity gap? Was the coffin insurance really necessary? Was the reaction you'd never believe really unbelievable? Was that one secret that changed everything really that amazing? But despite these disappointments, people keep clicking through on these links. That's because another psychological force is in play: intermittent reinforcement. There was a study in 1974 which gave pigeons 2 keys to press. One key would always release a small piece of food after 15 seconds. Another key would sometimes release food after 15 seconds and sometimes not. The study found that pigeons were actually more likely to peck the second, intermittent key more often. So it's this powerful manipulative force of intermittent reinforcement, the delivery of reward at irregular intervals, which keeps us coming back to clickbait, pecking the link and watching the videos. It might be worth it this time. It's just one click after all. If you want to create effective clickbait, you can learn a lot from American B-movie posters. But there's a whole other tradition of advertising movies: Soviet Russia. The first 20,000 bottles of Ukrainian champagne are expected to be placed on the market next autumn. Tests carried out by experts of the Ukrainian Wine Trust have shown that it is possible to produce from grapes grown in Ukraine champagne equal in quality to that of Champagne, France. Believe it or not, this is an exciting and engaging Soviet advert for wine from the 1930s. If it seems boring, long-winded, uncreative, that's because it has had all the stinking bourgeois elements extracted from it. It's an anti-capitalist advert. It's anti-clickbait. But alongside lifeless text like this, The Soviet Union has also produced some of the most striking and original movie posters ever made. In the 1920s and early 30s, the style was avant-garde. It represented a break from the past. Movie posters were designed by artists who had often not seen the film. These posters are characterized by bright colors, geometric shapes and lines, and the creative interaction between text and image. There's a 1926 Soviet movie poster for a French film called The Knight's Move. It sounds like a chess game, so the artist created a strange checkered board and then placed a character behind it. The movie is a medieval film with no chess, but chess was very popular in the 1920s, so the posters attracted attention. Connecting your content to a popular trend, no matter how weak the link, is another feature of clickbait. The Knight's Move posters are quite far on one side of the clickbait spectrum. It's like putting fidget spinners on a Transformers film, but that doesn't prevent it from being a really engaging piece of art. This movie poster is for the 1927 film The Diplomatic Pouch. There's a creative interplay between text and image. The words flow into smoke and water, changing their color. The protagonist's hat is in front of the title, something really popular on YouTube at the moment. Look at the stylistic transformation from before the Russian Revolution to after it. The posters also often prioritize face and emotion to grab attention. In the 1930s, Stalin put an end to the use of avant-garde art in movie posters. A new artistic movement, socialist realism, was promoted. But the importance of close-ups of a face conveying an emotion remained. This image is from the 1943 film She Defends the Motherland, which tells how a woman who loses her husband and son in the war organizes a group of local fighters to resist the German invaders. Her expression is a beautiful combination of grief and determination. Studies have shown in advertising that an emotional expression on a close-up human face is one of the most effective ways to attract attention. Ultimately, the Soviet authorities wanted to educate the population rather than advertise. But it's interesting how, despite the demands of communist ideology, they produced film posters that share a lot in common with successful YouTube thumbnails. Somewhere in the multiverse, there's an alternative reality where YouTube was invented in the Soviet Union, and there are millions of videos with dry, factual descriptions and stunningly emotive art. I want to end this video by coming back to the first movie poster ever created. It's for an 1895 French film called The Sprinkled Sprinkler. The movie is 40 seconds. A boy stands on a hose, a gardener peers into the hose pipe, boy takes foot off hose, hilarity ensues. The reaction and content are in the thumbnail. I mean poster. This is a movie poster. But you might mistake it for a YouTube thumbnail because the reaction content juxtaposition is so common on this platform. The emotional reaction is a lot like the faces of Soviet movie posters. It sells the experience with wordless emotion, but there might be something else, a bit more complicated, going on. This image reminds me a lot of laugh tracks and game show audiences, which is something the philosopher Robert Fowler has written about. Fowler describes something he calls interpassivity. You come home from a tiring day at work, you turn on the TV and watch a comedy program. You're too tired to laugh, but the TV laughs for you, even when the jokes aren't funny. At the end of the show, you feel relieved, like you've had a good laugh. Canned laughter has laughed for you. There was no laugh track for The Sprinkled Sprinkler, but the poster itself was like a laugh track. The most effective clickbait on YouTube will not just promise to fill the curiosity gap, but also react to it for you. You scroll through YouTube as you're bored, staring at these emotive, excited, horrified expressions. Do you smile or feel scared? Probably not, but these videos promise to feel something for you. The dynamics of passive content consumption are quite unsettling when we think about them in this way. The clickbait thumbnail has developed so quickly since custom thumbnails were introduced by YouTube in 2010. When we look at the diversity of movie posters and how they changed and developed, we can see the clickbait thumbnail has a long journey ahead of itself. But some of these beautiful movie posters should make us ask, in a world where we are saturated with adverts and our consumption controlled by algorithms, is there room for clickbait, which is artistic and original? For better or for worse, we all have a role to play in providing an answer to that question. For more videos like this, please like and subscribe to the channel. I wish you a calm and peaceful day.